Okay, real talk. Anyone else out there just like totally bombarded with all these AI tools? Like seriously, every time I refresh my feed, boom, another one pops up.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. It's a must-have. It's like they're all promising to unlock, I don't know, like the secrets of the universe or something.
Yeah.
But how are we supposed to know which ones are actually worth our time
Yeah.
and our money?
It's a wild west out there for sure.
Right.
Yeah, so much noise, so much to sift through. It is exciting to see all this innovation happening,
Oh, yeah.
but it can be incredibly overwhelming trying to keep up.
Totally. And that brings us to today's deep dive.
Yes.
We are going to tackle DeepSeek.
Ooh.
And I got to be honest, the claims that they're making about this thing are wild.
Yeah.
We're talking replaces everything.
Wow.
Unlocks 150 plus AI models. One-time fee, no subscriptions. And get this, it makes you rich.
Does that not sound a little, I don't know,
I was going to say, too good to be true,
a
Ro.
little too good to be true, right?
Which is exactly why we're here. We are going to unpack all of it. We're going to separate the hype from the reality.
Yeah.
And hopefully help you figure out if DeepSeek is, the real deal.
Yeah.
Is it the revolutionary AI powerhouse? Or is it just another shiny object designed to, distract us from our hard-earned cash?
Right, and I think the first step in that process is really understanding what DeepSeek is. Because it's not just another chatbot.
Right.
It's positioned as something much bigger, almost like an operating system for AI.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, forget all those other AI tools that you're using. DeepSeek is the only one you'll ever need. And they claim it gives you access to over 150 premium AI models, including, the big names, ChatGPT, Midjourney, DLE, a whole bunch more, all through this like central dashboard.
Yeah, that's a pretty big claim. I mean, they do seem to have a wide range of models integrated. The question is, like, how deep does that integration go?
Yeah.
Are you really getting the full functionality of each model?
Right.
Or is it kind of limited access?
Yeah, that's a good point. Because they're also saying that DeepSeek is faster, smarter, and cheaper than ChatGPT.
Right.
And they keep mentioning this revolutionary R1 AI model. That's like powers the whole thing.
Yeah.
I got to admit, that part went a little over my head.
Yeah.
What is so special about this R1 model?
Well, without getting too technical, the R1 model is interesting. It's really focused on being adaptable, processing different types of input, not just text. So, potentially it could be more versatile than other language models, able to work with like images and audio and video all within the same system.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not just about generating text. It's about like understanding and working with different forms of information.
Exactly, yeah.
Which opens up a lot of possibilities.
Huge possibilities, yeah. But, and this is a big but, we need to see it in action. The potential's there.
Yeah.
But whether or not DeepSeek can actually deliver, that's the question.
Right, because they're also pushing this whole like open source and unstoppable angle. And honestly, that sounds a little bit like marketing jargon to me. Like, what does that even mean?
Right. Well, open source, essentially, it means the code is publicly accessible, which could be good.
Okay.
I mean, it means more transparency, community involvement, faster pace of innovation, but it's not a guarantee. Plenty of open source projects, they kind of fizzle out,
Right.
And some closed source projects are super successful.
So it's a potential benefit, but not something to take at face value.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've got a basic understanding of what DeepSeek is, this all-in-one platform powered by this, fancy R1 model.
Right.
But what about what it can actually do?
Yeah.
Because the list of capabilities, use cases, it's mind-blowing.
It is. It is a very extensive list. Like
I don't know.
website building in 9 seconds.
Website building in 9 seconds.
8K video generation.
8K video generation. Hypnotic sales funnels.
Yes.
Chat bots that are better than ChatGPT.
Content creation, task automation, client generation, social media management, translation, coding. It goes on and on.
The list goes on.
It's like they took every buzzword in the AI world and threw it in a blender.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And they highlight these like really specific examples. Like this guy named James supposedly built this successful chatbot agency using DeepSeek, even though he had no coding experience.
Wow.
It's like, if he can do it, anyone can.
Right. Right.
That's the narrative they're going with. And, while it's possible to build a basic chatbot without coding, using tools like DeepSeek, building a successful agency, that takes a lot more than just the tech skills.
Of course.
You need business knowledge, marketing expertise,
Yeah.
a whole lot of hustle to make it work.
So maybe don't quit your day job just yet. based on James's story.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting. It's interesting to think about like the potential here. If DeepSeek can actually deliver on even a fraction of these claims, I mean, it could be a game changer for a lot of
Absolutely.
for businesses
Yeah.
looking to use AI.
100%. But here's where we're going to dig a little deeper.
Okay.
How much of this is hype
Yeah.
versus reality?
Right.
Can it really replace all your other AI tools? Can it truly make you rich?
Right.
And what are the potential downsides or limitations?
Ooh, those are the big questions.
Mm.
And we're going to tackle them in the next part of our deep dive. But before we go there, I want to touch on one more aspect that really caught my attention, the financial promise.
Yes.
This idea that you can ditch all of your monthly subscriptions to all these other AI tools and just pay a one-time fee
Right.
for lifetime access. They're even comparing it to like the early days of Bitcoin, suggesting that this could be the next like ground floor opportunity in, the booming AI market.
Yeah. Bold claim. Bold claim.
I mean, who wouldn't want to get in on the next Bitcoin?
Right.
But is that comparison even legitimate?
That's what we need to figure out. I mean, on the one hand, the AI market is exploding.
Yeah.
And DeepSeek, with this unique approach, they could carve out a significant share of that market.
So there is a possibility for growth, for early adopters to benefit.
Theoretically, yes. But remember, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Right.
There are no guarantees, especially in the tech world. It's all,
Volatile,
unpredictable.
Right. We can't just assume it's going to be the next Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely an interesting possibility.
Absolutely. Very intriguing.
Yeah, it's worth considering.
Worth considering, yeah. And that's why, it's so important to be critical,
Yeah.
Weigh the potential rewards against the risks. Do your own research before jumping in.
Okay. I think this is a great place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still a lot more to unpack.
Yeah.
So in part 2, we're going to dig into the potential downsides.
Ooh.
We're going to examine those success stories a little more closely, really start unpacking like the ethical considerations of this whole thing.
It's going to get good.
It's going to get real.
Yes. Welcome back to our deep dive into DeepSeek. In part 1, we laid out the grand vision, the bold promises, the almost too good to be true claims. Now it's time to get a little more critical. Because, I mean, even the most promising tools, they have their limitations, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And before anyone gets like swept up in the hype and rushes out to buy DeepSeek, I think it's important to, take a closer look at like the potential downsides. Because let's be honest, no technology is perfect.
Exactly. Exactly. And one thing that kind of jumps out at me is the sheer scope of what DeepSeek's offering.
It's a lot, yeah.
Over 150 AI models, vast array of capabilities, all accessible through this one dashboard. And while that sounds incredibly powerful, on the surface, it could also lead to a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah, it's like being handed the keys to a spaceship when all you've ever driven is a bicycle.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin with 150 different AI models?
Exactly. Exactly. Even if you're tech savvy, managing that many tools, understanding the nuances of each model, I think it could be overwhelming, like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Right.
And, there's a risk there of spreading yourself too thin, trying to master everything instead of focusing on what's truly valuable for your specific needs.
Yeah, so it's almost like the abundance of options could become a hindrance rather than a benefit.
100%, especially for people who are new to AI or maybe have, limited time.
Right.
To really invest in learning a complex system.
And then there's the issue of integration. I mean, DeepSeek promises to replace all your other AI tools, but what about the tools and workflows that you've already got in place?
Right.
How smoothly will it integrate? I mean, will you have to rebuild everything from scratch?
Yeah, that is the question. It's a crucial one, and it's something that kind of DeepSeek doesn't really address in their marketing.
Right.
They're all about the shiny new possibilities, but they kind of gloss over those practical challenges.
Yeah. Okay, so complexity and integration, those are two potential hurdles to keep in mind. What else should people be aware of?
Well, another thing I think that's worth considering is that black box element of AI. DeepSeek, like a lot of AI tools, it relies on these complex algorithms that are honestly kind of difficult to understand, even for experts.
It's like trusting your GPS to get you to your destination without knowing how it actually works. Why it's choosing a particular route. You just have to kind of have faith.
Right, exactly. And while that, might be okay for like simple tasks, when you're dealing with, important business decisions, creative output. I mean, you need to have some understanding of the logic. Otherwise, you're basically surrendering control to an algorithm that you don't really get.
Right, but isn't some level of trust kind of necessary with any tool? I mean, I don't know exactly how my car engine works,
Yeah.
but I trust it to get me from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So how much transparency is realistic when it comes to AI?
That's a fair point. It's a balance, for sure. But, I think the key difference is that with something like a car engine, there's, a long history.
Yeah.
There are engineering standards, safety standards. We understand how the technology works, what the potential risks are.
Yeah.
AI's still new, relatively new, and we're still kind of figuring out those best practices, transparency, accountability, ethical development.
So it's not about blind trust. It's about having enough information to make informed decisions
Exactly.
about how and when to use AI and being aware of the potential risks.
100%. And that brings us back to, DeepSeek's emphasis on the financial gain.
Right.
The promise of, ditching subscriptions, making money from AI-generated content, potentially striking it rich, like those early Bitcoin investors. It's incredibly alluring, but it raises questions about the motivations.
Huh? I mean, isn't profitability kind of a key factor in any tool's success?
Mm-hmm.
How do we balance that desire for financial gain with, the ethics?
Yeah, that's the big question, and
Yeah.
one that deserves a lot more attention. Because if the primary focus is just making money, are we overlooking some potential downsides?
Right.
Unintended consequences? Are we creating systems that prioritize profit over people?
These are huge questions, and it does feel like DeepSeek is kind of skirting around them. They're so focused on, what and how much. They're not addressing the why and the should we.
It's a missed opportunity, in my opinion. Instead of just fueling the hype, playing into people's, fears and desires, I think they could be leading a much more nuanced conversation about responsible development and use.
Okay, so we've talked about complexity, integration, the black box problem, the ethical considerations. Are there any other potential downsides we should be aware of?
Well, one more thing I think that is worth mentioning is this potential for dependence on a single platform.
Okay.
DeepSeek is positioning itself as this all-in-one solution, but what happens if they go out of business?
Right.
What if their platform, becomes unstable, or they change their pricing?
You're putting all your eggs in one basket, and if
Yeah.
that basket breaks, you're in trouble.
Exactly. And even if DeepSeek remains, a viable platform, there's always the risk of becoming too reliant on their specific tools and workflows.
Right.
What happens if a new, better platform emerges? Can you adapt easily, or are you stuck?
Yeah, it's like anything else in tech, right? You got to stay agile, keep your options open, be prepared to pivot if you need to.
Yeah.
Don't get too dependent on any single tool.
100%. Great advice. And I think that's a good segue into the next part of our discussion. Now that we've explored some of the potential downsides, let's shift gears a little bit and look at those success stories. They keep highlighting, are these genuine, or is it just clever marketing?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? And to be fair, I mean, there are always going to be those people who achieve extraordinary results with any tool, right? But I think the key is to look beyond the anecdotes.
100%. 100%. Because anyone can, cherry pick a few success stories, present them as proof.
Yeah.
What we need to do is analyze the methodology, understand the context.
Yeah.
Are these results replicable?
Exactly. So let's take a closer look at one of the success stories that they really love to showcase. James, the guy who supposedly built this successful chatbot agency using DeepSeek, even though he didn't know how to code. I mean, they make it sound so simple,
Right.
effortless. But is it really that easy?
Well, let's break it down. DeepSeek does offer tools for creating chatbots. And it's possible that, someone with no coding experience could build a basic one
Yeah.
using their platform.
Right.
But building a successful agency, that's a whole other story.
Of course.
That takes business acumen, marketing, the ability to attract clients, keep them happy. It's not an overnight thing, no matter what tools you're using.
Right. And even if James did achieve those results, we don't know the full story.
Right.
I mean, did he have prior experience in business or marketing?
Yeah.
Did he put in a ton of time and effort? Maybe he was just lucky.
Right.
I mean, there's so many factors at play that it's impossible to say it was all because of DeepSeek.
It's like those weight loss ads, right? They show you someone lost 100 pounds. And it's all thanks to the pill, but they never mention the hours of exercise.
Exactly.
You know, the complete lifestyle change.
It's all about crafting that narrative.
Yeah.
Even if it means leaving out some key details.
Right. And that's the danger with relying solely on anecdotal evidence.
Right.
It can be persuasive, but it doesn't give you the full picture.
So what you're saying is, don't assume you're going to have those same results
Exactly.
just because you buy DeepSeek.
Yeah, your success depends on a bunch of things. Your skills, your effort, the market, a little bit of luck.
So we've debunked the myth of the overnight millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that DeepSeek is worthless. It's still a powerful platform. I mean, it's got a lot of potential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, DeepSeek could be incredibly valuable
Yeah.
for people, businesses,
Yeah.
looking to streamline, automate tasks, explore AI, but it's crucial to approach it with realistic expectations.
Right. It's about finding that balance
Yeah,
between the excitement and the skepticism, the potential and the reality.
exactly. Which brings us back to something we mentioned earlier, that human element in AI.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. Why is it so important to think about the human element when we're evaluating, tools like DeepSeek?
Because AI, at its core, is a tool.
Yeah.
Created by humans.
Yeah.
For humans.
Right.
It's meant to kind of augment our abilities, not replace them.
So we shouldn't be thinking about AI as like, taking over, replacing, human creativity and ingenuity.
Exactly. The most powerful applications of AI, they come when we use it as a partner.
A collaborator.
A collaborator.
Yeah.
Leverage its strengths,
Mhm.
acknowledge the limitations.
So instead of asking, can AI do this?
Mm-hmm.
We should be asking, like, how can AI help me do this better?
Exactly. And that requires us to, maintain that critical distance.
Yeah.
Question the outputs, use our judgment.
It's about finding that sweet spot where human ingenuity and AI capabilities come together to create something really cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a point that I think DeepSeek, with all this emphasis on automation and financial gain, kind of misses.
Okay, I think this is a great place to pause again. In the final part of our deep dive, we're going to delve into those broader implications of AI.
Yes.
Talk about how it could transform industries, redefine work, really shape the future.
Big questions.
Big questions. And we'll also explore whether DeepSeek is the right tool for you and, what steps you can take to make an informed decision. Stay tuned.
Welcome back for the final part of our DeepSeek deep dive. We've covered a lot, from the big promises to the potential problems. We've examined the tech, the marketing. We even debunked a few myths along the way. Now it's time to step back. Look at the bigger picture. What does DeepSeek and, the rise of AI more broadly mean for the future?
That's the question. It's the one that keeps me up at night. We are on the cusp of a tech revolution. Unlike anything we've seen before. I mean, AI has the potential to transform industries, redefine work, reshape society, I mean.
It's both exciting and terrifying,
Yeah.
right? 100%. Like, we're standing at the edge of this uncharted territory, and we don't know what's on the other side.
Exactly. And the choices that we make now, the way we develop and implement AI, is going to have a huge impact.
Huge for generations to come.
So where do we even begin? What are the things we need to think about as we navigate this AI-driven future?
Well, I think one of the most important things is to, be mindful of the impact on workers. AI is already automating tasks that humans used to do.
Yeah.
And that trend is only going to accelerate. So we need to think about how we can, reskill, upskill workers so they can thrive in this new world.
You're right. It's not just about replacing jobs. It's about creating new opportunities, new ways of working, new ways of thinking about, like, what does it mean to be productive and valuable?
That's such a key point. And it's not just about, jobs. We also need to be thinking about, like, the ethics of it all. How do we make sure these systems are fair, unbiased, accountable? How do we prevent them from being used for bad stuff?
Right.
And
it makes me think about, like, DeepSeek's focus on making money. They're all about the profit, but they're not really talking about these bigger questions.
Yeah, and it's a conversation we need to be having, at all levels, not just in tech. We need to get ethicists involved, policymakers, the public, everyone.
Because it's going to impact all of us, right? Whether we realize it or not.
100%. And that's where,
Education, critical thinking, that's what becomes so important. We've got to equip people with the knowledge and skills,
Mm.
to understand how AI works, how it's being used, and what the consequences might be.
So it's not just about learning how to use tools like DeepSeek. It's about understanding the technology itself
Yes.
and the impact on society.
Exactly, exactly. And that's something we try to do here on this deep dive, right? Go beyond the headlines, dig into the nuances, encourage people to really think critically about these technologies that are changing our world.
I love that. So before we wrap up, let's bring it back to DeepSeek. Is this tool, is it right for everyone? Is it the key to, unlocking crazy wealth?
As we've discussed, it's a powerful tool. It has a lot of potential, but it's not a magic bullet.
Yeah.
There are downsides. It's not a guarantee you're going to make a ton of money.
So it's not for the faint of heart. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's it's a complex platform. It takes time. It takes work.
Exactly. And ultimately, the decision, to use DeepSeek or not, it comes down to your own needs and goals. What are you trying to achieve?
Okay, so bottom line, folks, DeepSeek. It's a fascinating tool. It's got potential,
Mm-hmm.
but be critical. Do your research. Make an informed decision. It's your own unique situation.
And as you explore the world of AI, whether it's DeepSeek or something else, remember, you're not just a consumer. You're a participant. You're helping shape the future of this technology.
We all are. That's what makes this so exciting. We have this chance to use AI to solve problems,
Mm-hmm.
to create a better world, to unlock new levels of creativity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is an amazing time to be alive.
I'm feeling inspired.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up our DeepSeek deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. The future of AI, it's not something that happens to us. It's something we create together.
That's beautiful. I love that. Let's make it a future that we can all be proud of.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We have a blast exploring this with you. Make sure to check out our other episodes where we tackle all sorts of interesting topics,
Mm-hmm.
unpack complex ideas in a way that's fun and informative. Who knows what exciting discoveries await?